Are you afraid of the internet?
Are you afraid of AI?
Are you afraid to raise your child in a world that's full of technology? Welcome to the Just Two Dads podcast. I'm Kyle Brake.
And I'm Brendan Mack.
What's up, Brendan? How you been, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Last time we kind of closed off or touched on a little bit about like video games and stuff like that and technology. Yeah. And we were born in the 90s. I was born in 94. You were
93.
Okay. Yeah. That's right.
I feel like our generation really grew up in what the thick of the internet revolution was. We really experienced all of the steps that the internet went through to such an extreme that a lot of other generations may not have, because our kids were born into this generation. Older generations are slightly out of touch of it, and they weren't into it like we were because they were already adults when they kind of came through. So
yeah, we definitely saw the evolution mainstream, no doubt.
Yeah.
Like I'll never forget when actually I was on a test drive the other day and I was talking to somebody about the first computer we had, and when we turned it on, we were all around it watching it as if like the first time we discovered a fire with caveman. Like, we turned it on, was like, what happens next?
Yeah.
And then the classic dial-up noise that you would get. Yeah, it's interesting to see that. And then now
everything's just at your fingertips. It's on demand.
Everything.
Yeah, and that's the part that can be scary, is how on demand literally everything is.
And not only in terms of approach to this for a world that our children are grown up in, but interesting. And I'm curious, did you rely on any sort of like dad help or anything like videos or books, or because maybe books doesn't fit the idea, but there's so much information that's at your fingertips that it can be, one, extremely overwhelming, but two, you can find the answer in which way you look. You know what I mean? Like you can find what you're looking for, I should say.
Yeah, we kind of briefly touched on that last time we talked. Like there's so much information that it's hard to like pick and choose what you really want. Like how do you decide that you want to use this as your way, or using this as your way, or like what's right, rather? It's not, because you can use whatever you want to, but what is actually right? And it almost makes it kind of like, I feel like no matter what I'm doing something wrong. That's almost the way that it's projected, with the way that there's so much information.
Yeah, and you kind of got to forgive yourself a bit, I suppose. But yeah, I was just curious if that was a something that you've experienced in terms of raising your children, if you had a heavy influence of that, because I know even just in the short time that I've had to like kind of consciously tune out of it, because it can be a bit overwhelming. And I know that kind of sounds interesting here, but what I'm getting at is the approach or perspective of the right way, right? I don't want to have a black and white version of it, because let's be honest, everybody's perspective and situation is different.
Yeah.
I want to hear that. I want to hear like what worked for you, what didn't work for you. Because then if like, I'm not saying it's certainly not a cookie cutter, but you can be prepared, I suppose, a little bit better.
Yeah. You can definitely see what to expect from kids, and then you're just shaping everything into what your own is.
Yeah. How do you monitor it in terms of with your children, in terms of privacy, security? I mean, do you have control of those settings, or like, I mean, is it kind of like, yeah, I do, but often how? You know what I mean?
So my kids don't have a lot of internet access compared to like what you see with a lot of kids having. Sure. I don't really let my kids have access to it unless they have to do like homework or something of that nature, but I don't let them freely browse the internet like we did when we were little.
Sure.
As it was so normal, and from us 90s babies, we kind of had free reign over the family computer.
And I kind of had to think about that too, because you can't really blame our parents because they didn't know.
No, they didn't. And it was
How
different.
Could you know?
And it was different. It's different now. Like they didn't experience the internet how we did, especially at such young ages. So they didn't know what to anticipate with us being online. But us having grown up in that, we kind of know what's out there, and we're still like, we still know what's out there.
Sure.
It makes me scared for my kids what is out there, though, and I don't want my kids to accidentally stumble across something that they shouldn't see, because it's so easy to anymore.
Oh, absolutely. And that's across the board. There's, it's not necessarily one aspect of something you're trying to contain them from, right? In terms of whether it be violence or whatever, because there is no control over what you're fed to a degree.
Yeah, exactly.
In your hands, I should say.
Yeah, and all of the internet browsers, all the social medias, they try to say that they have an algorithm that's tailored to you, but it's more tailored to what they want you to see.
I was going to say, who truly decides that?
Yeah, exactly. I can click on a bunch of things or whatever, and they kind of might show me a couple things like that, and then they're going to shove a bunch of things down my throat that I don't care to see.
Yeah.
And I think a perfect example of that lately has been extreme violence, where specifically with my wife, she does not want to see that. She doesn't want to see people being hurt or anything worse than that. Even
Sure.
She does not want to see those things, but you'll be scrolling down the timeline and you don't have the choice. It just pops up and someone's instantly there.
Right.
Something happening to them.
And, they can do like a do not recommend, but even still, I've done that and
it doesn't affect it.
Yeah.
If you do it like 1,000 times, it might start to a little bit, but even then it doesn't. And there needs to be something hiding that, like, and normally there is, like, I've seen like the graphic image logo or
Sure.
graphic video or whatever it may be over top, and like the C video.
That definitely helps.
But it's not always.
Of course.
Which is like, this is probably an AI generated thing. AI is messing up. It needs to be recognizing that this is happening.
Right.
So it's, to a degree, a fault of AI.
And what's interesting there too is with the rise of AI, how do we even know that video, maybe it's irrelevant, is real or not? But I guess if it's not real, that kind of has a little bit more of a sinister tone to it, because what's the motivation there? What's the intention?
Yeah. Essentially just people using AI to try and
get shock value or something.
Yeah, exactly. And that's absolutely been a huge thing. Not so much shock value has been a huge thing. I should say rage bait has been a huge thing. And that's one that drives me absolutely insane about the internet. I am so sick of seeing all of the rage bait content. I don't know if you see a lot of it. I'm sure you do, because it's everywhere. People doing things very wrong on purpose just to get a rise out of people, because it makes their whole platform blow up. They get all these likes, even if it's in a negative way. Then that shows the algorithm, this is getting a lot of feedback, so let's keep pushing it to all these people.
And ultimately, I mean, I think that comes down to the incentive, right? The incentive is the problem there.
Right.
Because that's what's pushing it, right? And so, like, I don't have the answer.
Right.
But you shouldn't necessarily benefit from stirring controversy.
No, for sure. And
I shouldn't say you shouldn't be able to stir controversy, because it's free, do what you want, right? Do I think,
But pushing that type of content over something that's like actually beneficial to a lot of people, it's crazy. That shouldn't be pushed over top of something else. Like,
certainly,
tutorial videos are an extremely good example. Like watching people in carpentry, and they'll be like, "This is how I did this," and they do it like crazy wrong, and like it'll get all of these middle-aged men blowing up the comments like, "That's wrong. That's not how you do that," and they're doing it on purpose, obviously, as compared to the person who's like, this is the right way to do this. And he goes through all of the steps. He does everything absolutely perfectly, but he doesn't get nearly as much. He'll get 1,000 views compared to this guy's 1,000,000.
That's a really good point. And it's funny you bring that up, because as of recently, I haven't had a whole lot of background in woodworking, but I'm interested in it. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
But my favorite is watching these old videos of carpenters like 60s, 70s. I
Yeah.
don't know exactly what they dated, but all hand tools.
Yep.
I mean, they'd measured, but like their measuring and stuff they were so on point with it that they were just flop, and they were
Yeah.
just, everything was perfect. And then they'd hand it to a guy and he'd start sawing it off and it'd be a perfect line. And it's
Yeah.
just like, dude, that's like beyond skills. That's like true. I mean, that's craftsmanship, you know?
Yeah.
And though here's an interesting thing too, right? Power tools are clearly efficient, but how much does that curb this skill entry? You know what I mean? And whether that's a
Yeah.
good or bad thing, right?
Yeah. It's a good thing.
I
I'll
agree.
just say that.
I don't want to go back to hand tools, but
yeah, I'm not trying to say you're with a handsaw.
no, me either. But it was interesting, and maybe it's just because the sharpness of the tools, but how of ease it did seem, relatively speaking.
Yeah, it was the techniques that they used, and it's what they had to work with. So obviously, they made the best of it.
Mastered it
So-
for sure. By the way, I love my table saw. And
Oh, yeah.
my miter saw.
Yeah, that's way better than sitting there.
Yeah, no doubt. But what's cool too, or interesting, is I started to see these videos, and I'm guarantee you they're AI created, but they're basically I'm going to say anthropomorphized, but not truly in the sense that like it's not an animal per se, but it's like, for instance, it was talking about cooking steak, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were all different cuts of steak, and they had like eyes and mouth or whatever, and they were like, cook us differently, and if you cook us all the same, like 3 of us are going to be ruined, right? So it goes over ribeye, about how you baste it, blah blah blah, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you, the one towards the end, it was like cutting the steak, and if you cut it wrong, it started like screaming and stuff like that. But it was like showing you like, you don't do it this way.
Right.
But it was an interesting kind of instructional, but also clearly AI. But it kind of played on emotions a little bit, because you see the face, you kind of like tune in, focus a little bit more, I should
Yeah.
say. But that was just what I saw there. But whether it be like even construction too, like I saw some instructional videos, whether, it's interesting the use of that can be almost microdosed in like 30-second videos that you get fed, that there is a bright side to certain aspects.
Right. Yeah. So let's touch on what we had talked about with one of the hit point questions.
Yeah.
Are you afraid of AI?
Am I afraid of AI?
I feel like it's such a broad question, because there's so many different aspects of AI, but we'll just keep it broad for the moment.
I kind of like to look at it pretty much anything like this, right? Yeah, there is an aspect of AI that I'm truly afraid of. But I also see a world where AI is implemented and it's extremely beneficial to humanity.
Yeah.
So I know it's not that black and white, right? But yeah, to a degree I am.
Yeah. So what are the aspects that scare you, that make you nervous?
So for instance, AI being utilized in the government to hold people accountable. Sweet. Tracking funds, whatever, so on and so forth. AI being used in the government for authority and control and super surveillance. No.
Right. Yeah.
So obviously nobody's saying like yes and no to, like, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like, that's what I mean.
So I think a problem with that comes back to AI can be manipulated
Sure.
by whoever. So you're worried about it tracking and surveillance, but you're not worried about it essentially still tracking in another sense, though, in tracking people's funds, or like what they might be doing, in a sense, like people in Congress.
I guess I
perhaps.
should be more specific, like our taxes, right? If we paid our taxes and there was AI tracking our taxes and where that money went.
Yeah.
But I do see what you're saying. I don't really want to, I don't know. But then again, though, how do you draw the line, right?
Yeah.
Because
But
it
then
shouldn't be
someone
tracking.
who's manipulating the AI
Well,
behind the scenes?
is there a way to have it truly open source to where people could look at it?
No, because then if it's open source, then everyone can manipulate it to a degree. People will find a way to hack into it a lot easier. Think back to like
So it's truly a double-edged sword.
it is. Think back to like Edward Snowden.
Yeah.
I think that's a good example for that, because he was hacking to all the government systems and leaking files and such. Who's to say there's not going to be another one?
Sure.
Especially if we go AI with an open source, then I feel like that's too accessible for your average Americans. Not to say everyone's evil, but like,
Sure.
who's to say what they're going to do? And it concerns me because the world powers could just like, if we put them in control of AI, they control it how they want. They can say, look past this. You see this, but look past this.
Sure.
That's
a good point.
It's very similar to generating a photo with AI. Yeah. You tell the photo or tell AI what to generate. And then you don't like an aspect, take this out. You don't like this aspect, take this out. So you end up getting your perfect picture out of it. So whoever's controlling the AI can get their perfect picture with the money. Meanwhile, they're just sitting there funneling it into them the whole time. But let's tell the AI to not tell everyone that.
Right. And then you can't have it open source because then other people could look. But that's the only, that's a loop.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. Interesting. So no, I mean, yeah, that's scary. I mean, but if it happens, oof, there's obviously no going back.
Right. Yeah. And then it gets to the point where eventually what AI just controls the world.
Or that controlling the AI.
Or the AI controls the AI.
Yeah. Well, that's a bit grim. There's not much to go there in terms of like, because there's clearly no moral, you can't instill a moral compass per se, nor would you even trust it.
No. And it's funny because even if you ask AI certain things, they'll be like, I don't have feelings, so I can't go based off of that. But I can give you this recommendation or whatever it may be. So
yeah. And that is really, the fact that you said that you can kind of cherry pick or you can kind of filter, you can kind of have it justify what you're looking for, kind of defeats a lot of the theories that I had about it in terms of what use it could be. But I guess I don't know. I feel like the only real world application of it in a moral sense would have to be a very entry level based. But we're well past that.
Yeah, we are.
Well past that.
So YouTube actually kind of changed their algorithm and like they're now using AI to find AI videos though. And they're working on removing a bunch of AI from their platform. I just seen this yesterday, actually. I watched a video on it and they removed like 12 million videos or something like that.
I feel like that's a small drop in the bucket in terms of the videos out there, but that's still huge though.
Yeah. And it was like, I can't remember what it was. It's like millions of dollars worth of revenue per month out of people's pockets but these were very strictly AI channels for the most part. And obviously there's overflow of that where people are getting hit where they don't necessarily deserve it. And I agree with it because people are they have fully AI YouTube channels.
Yeah.
Front to back, everything. They are creating the video. They're uploading the video. They're managing the channel. They're doing everything except for collecting the funds. And I think that's where AI is completely absurd. And that shouldn't be an allowed thing. And a big part of it, too, was the templates. Most of the templates for AI are pretty much the same.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I could see that.
30 to 40 videos a day are being released that are pretty much the exact same video.
That's probably pretty easy to grab then.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's where I can't really get behind AI because of things like that. And what is really AI? And anymore, it's so powerful. It's hard to tell.
Do you think that like some of these like, big tech guys are just too caught up in their own, like it's their own individual race, right? Because that's what I keep kind of seeing, like, Grok has to win the AI race, Gemini has to win the Perplexity, blah, 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 blah. So like, it almost kind of seems like it's beyond what they're actually producing, right? They're just kind of focused on who gets the next what?
Well, it's the equivalent of the space race.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
But for AI.
Kinda. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
What's interesting about that, though, what is the destination, right? The space race was the moon. What is the destination for AI?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. How far do these companies truly want to take it?
Yeah.
Because we got Google, who's leaps and bounds. I'm not sure who runs ChatGPT, but
Good question.
ChatGPT is the one that pretty much everyone uses.
OpenAI. OpenAI,
yeah,
right?
that's right. Yep.
Perplexity.
Yeah.
I've started using that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure of all the AIs, but I know Chat and
You can't
Google.
forget Grok, sorry.
Then there's Apple. Apple has an AI. I'm not sure what theirs is, but I'm sure they have one tailored to their system.
I don't know if they do. I think that's just Siri.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not an Apple user, so I'm not 100% sure.
My understanding
of the point is that these companies are, like you said, they're racing. And I feel like their destination is to fully automate their own companies.
Wow.
Like Google, I know Google had very large layoffs. They got rid of tons of employees that were replaced by AI because they said AI can do your job. So I think that's another scary thing about AI is it taking jobs. I'm not concerned for my job because once AI can start hanging drywall, I'll probably be dead. So, but
well, at that point, it'd be an employee,
right? Yeah.
No, for sure. Definitely more hands-on jobs are going to be a bit more secure. Absolutely. Yeah. And I even kind of look at that in my own profession too. There's convenience where technology is definitely at play and it helps with transparency. But ultimately, I do believe somebody wants somebody to buy a car from.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. And I think that's a big thing that humanity has helped hold is they want the personalization. They want a face to put to a voice. They want
customer service. They want to be treated well. You know what I mean? They want to feel like they're doing something that's like, I don't know, it's a big purchase in general. And I'm saying that, but just across the board, there's still certain aspects where I don't believe, maybe it tries to, but I don't believe it can replace what most humans are looking for.
Yeah. And on top, to go back a little bit, AI absolutely has its use cases. So you like to use it for an editor, essentially.
Sure, yeah.
Writing, like taking and writing a really long article or whatever, say 3-4 paragraphs, and having it go through, make sure all the spelling's correct and everything, kind of clean it up a little. That's great. I think that's fine because it still has the human behind it that created. As long as the human is the one creating, and it's not just fully AI creating.
Yeah. And you're right. And oftentimes I start to think too, though, if you're so focused on some of those technicalities, it takes away from the true creative aspect of it, right? You're more judgmental, you're more critical of what you even, I shouldn't say think, but what you allow to go onto paper or, notepad or whatever. So, but then again though, right? That's just my microcosm, my small world, but how do you limit that, right? You can't. In terms of like, it's useful. We're in a very interesting period right now where like in that aspect, we can use it, but how long until
I think
it outgrows it?
Yeah. I think while using it like that is fine. It's very important to keep the human factor behind it though. I think anything with AI, the most important thing is keeping the human factor. As long as things aren't all looking the same.
Yeah.
Because once one person releases an article and then all of a sudden you have 30 of them and it just looks like that.
Yeah, no doubt. Let me ask you about this. You've created music before. What's your thoughts on AI music?
It's funny.
Okay. That's a good perspective.
I would never support music that I found out was fully created AI though.
Okay.
So if I discovered that a band, there's a person releasing these songs, but the songs are fully AI created, I'm not going to support that.
That's fair.
And that's the human factor for me.
Well,
if I find out that a band has elements of AI in it, whatever it may be, if it's something to like maybe help mix the drums and the guitar and all that, or if like, again, using it as an editor or something, or even giving ideas to a song, that's fine. But once you start taking it and making it like the whole song, it's like, no, because
it's an assistant.
Yeah.
At the max.
And I feel like that's exactly what it is meant to be. It's meant to be an assistant.
Yeah.
It's so shoved down our throats anymore, though. Everywhere you look, it's like, use AI for this, use AI for this. You go onto a website to buy a set of tires and it's use our AI assistant.
For sure. And that's actually interesting you brought up the AI assistant thing, because it just filters questions, right?
Yeah.
And it's more frustrating than anything, because that's where the customer service kind of thing comes into play. And AI is like AI store assistant, right? I guess is what we're kind of getting at there. No. And you can, one aspect, you can ask me if I'm trying to make a purchase, return, or whatever. But beyond that, give me the person that is of that.
Yeah. And so my buddy, he went to Verizon. Well, he didn't go to Verizon. He called Verizon. And he ended up getting on the line with what he thought was a person.
No.
And it was AI.
No.
Yeah.
On the phone.
On the phone with an AI person. Well, an AI, not a person.
Did they say this is AI, or this just picked up, hey, this is Susan?
Yeah, pretty much that.
Wow.
And he was talking and it started to glitch out, repeating something over and over and over. I was like, man, that's crazy.
I've seen that at fast food too, where people were trying to make orders and it kind of glitched, because they started to use that now too for order taking.
Yeah.
And it started glitching out and it was putting different things on there and it wasn't hearing. And I'm just like, there's some kinks.
yeah, definitely. One of the funny parts too, though, was it was still an Indian voice.
Oh, why? That's weird.
Exactly.
That's weird.
And it's nothing against Indian people, but because they do a majority of the customer service, Verizon outsources it to, I believe they're Indian. If I'm wrong on that,
just
sorry.
Would mean where the customer service center would be.
Yeah.
If it's in Cleveland, you would get Clevelanders. If it's in India, you'd get people from India.
It's a very clear accent barrier sometimes. Sure. It can be hard to understand sometimes because of the accent. And they still gave him an Indian voice. I don't know if it's make it feel authentic or something.
But that's what's so wild. I was going to ask, what is the intention behind that? Is it a potential masquerade? And if so, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
If it was truly AI, you would think you would source where the call's coming from. Right. So this person's called this line's coming from whatever, from Seattle. Right.
Give them an American voice.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah. He told me that and I was like, wow.
No.
Yeah. Hopefully I never have to call. I'll just go into the store from now on. So
yeah, definitely worth it. But then they end up making the call themselves, but I'll let them deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. They can talk to the AI.
Now, so that's interesting. I do appreciate the idea, and I agree with you. The human element of it is crucial. The human element is everything. I am kind of on the fence in the idea that some of the people using AI to create everything now, I guess YouTube or things like that, I have a little bit more of a balanced approach in the idea it's kind of like a quick grab. Okay, whatever, grab it and go. I don't see it taken from the common person per se, not necessarily a true Peter Pan kind of thing, but
right.
It loses its appeal very quickly. And I think that that's going to start showing. And there was a theory that I kind of brought up to you that kind of ties into this. And it seems like maybe they're kind of getting a clamp on it, but there's a theory that there's going to be so much AI content, kind of nonsense AI content, that whether it is or isn't true or whatever, that people are just going to start tuning out. They're just going to start dialing back. And this might be a little extreme or dramatic, but the person was talking about how that's going to go back to the 90s, where technology, take AI aside, technology itself was used as an assistant, right?
Yeah.
Used as oh wow, it just made it going to the library that much quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, I can pull up an Excel sheet and I can actually do my expenses right here versus having to crank it out on a calculator and write it down.
Yeah, and I feel like that was the goal with AI initially. That was to help make things easier. So not everyone can go in and make an Excel spreadsheet, or someone might need a little extra help, whatever it may be, to get a library card or something like that. And maybe the AI can help that person more than an actual person could. And I feel like that was one of the initial intentions with AI, perhaps, but I feel like it's been taken so far now it's just taking everyone's jobs. But
They're taking our job.
they took our jobs. No, but like you said, it got to a point. Well, you said it was going to get to a point where the content creation would start going away because people wanted the human factor essentially. And you thought that would happen fast. I already see it happening to a degree though, where people are getting fed up, especially in the content creation world, where they're sick of AI. They're sick of what it looks like. They're sick of all of this recycled garbage essentially.
Yeah.
So it's already happening. And I've seen it in the music world, video creation, image creation, kind of everywhere, which I understand because that does take a lot of people's jobs, especially like image creation and stuff like that, because it's so easy to type in to ChatGPT and be like, I need a picture of this. Yeah. And then it pops up something that looks a lot like what someone else created, but you're like, it's good enough for me, so it's fine. But it used to be you would go on Fiverr and you would find a digital creator or whatever. And
some graphic designer.
Yeah. And then you would have your unique thing created. But now I feel like it's kind of going back to that because people want to support humans.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting. You think we're on that rebound already?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that for sure. I think there's still a lot of facets of it that are going to get expanded on, right? Some of them might be retracting, but I think some of them might have yet to be explored truly yet. But, you know, if you think about it though, in a business though, if you're running a business and you're paying somebody to do, I mean, I hate to say it, but like, I guess payroll is not something you'd want to mess up, right? You'd have to be very sure of it. But what if
bookkeeping's like a good example though. You could have an AI assistant doing your bookkeeping. And honestly, I do bookkeeping a little bit, not a lot, but a lot of it's almost automatic anyways to a degree. And I don't know how much that's, I guess.
Well, and my question is like, instead of like there being a ChatGPT, a Perplexity, a Grok or whatever, it would be such and such company, right? That would have the bookkeeping software.
Yeah.
That would have that, and you would either purchase, try, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But then would it be better that way? Because then there would be inherent accountability for that company, right? So there could be backlashes versus like some of these like true AI. What I'm getting at is like is it better to be implemented, the company to implement it, right? Versus this AI just branching into everything.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Like, is there a way to kind of constrain it more in that manner?
Yeah. It's hard because...
Or what's your thoughts on that, I should say?
Is every company going to develop an AI tailored to their system? I feel like that's almost ideal, though.
And think of it like a flooring company, right? A flooring company goes in and they use some sort of picture-based thing where they can then automatically use AI to get the dimensions or whatever. Sure, you double check, right? Yeah. But it kind of takes the initial bending down and doing all, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. But can that be limited to just those aspects versus... What I'm thinking we're kind of getting to is like this, singularity idea. You can't constrain it. Even though you develop it as that idea, as to take measurements, next thing you know, it's taking the measurements of your house and then it's saying how far are you away from this, then kind of takes you from there and then blah, blah, blah.
And on top of that, it is artificial intelligence. It's automatic learning.
Yeah, true.
It learns on its own. So like, it might eventually just learn and be like, do you want it to do this now? It might ask you, do you want us to do this?
Wow.
Do you want us to do this?
Mm-hmm.
So it takes it even further. So it's hard to constrain.
Yeah.
And like you said, it taking images wherever it may want to and seeing the distance from here to here, or where's the closest school, or where's this.
Because let's be honest, nobody's reading those terms of condition. No. They're just scrolling and clicking.
Yeah. Except and go on about your day and type something
AI
in. All of a sudden you've uploaded 30,000 pictures to their system without knowing.
Yeah. No, it is really, really interesting. I don't know. Do you know who Antonio Brown is?
No.
He's a football player, and he has a little bit of a reputation now that he's out of the league. But he asked an interesting question I saw on X, and he said, "Where do the pictures go when you quote and unquote permanently delete them?"
Yeah.
And then somebody just posted like a NSA database that's stored here.
That's funny.
But you think about it, like, does anything ever really stop existing in terms of digitally?
Yeah,
That's an interesting.
I know. You can only do what you think is right in permanently deleting it, getting rid of it. But to say someone else isn't keeping it in a database somewhere, who knows? But I feel like it comes down to one of those things where like we have a agent somewhere that knows more about us than we know about us.
Sure. Yeah. That's kind of wild though. Wild to think. And it just kind of got the thoughts going like, wow, that's kind of true. It's just,
I will say I prefer to not think like that. I don't, I don't force myself to think like that. Cause if someone does, what are you going to do? They already got me. I can't help it.
Is there anything else on AI you wanted to touch on? Cause I kind of wanted to stay in technology, but I kind of wanted to deviate just a slightly bit away from AI itself.
No, that's good. Make the points.
And I'm curious because, again, we grew up in the 90s and video games were really big to us, just kind of growing up. And, you have children. I have a child. Obviously, my child hasn't quite started playing video games yet. But how do you manage that? I mean, I don't want to use the word control because I don't think that's appropriate in a certain aspect. But how do you manage the whole, allowing them, but also balancing it?
It's a lot of screening, essentially. So, like, knowing what a game is, kind of the content of the game, but it gets exhausting. So
let me ask you this: they come and ask you, "Hey, can I play this?" Or do you say, "Hey, you want to play one of these?"
No, they'll come and ask me. Okay. It can go both ways though. I have asked them like, "Would you guys be interested in this game or whatever?"
Okay.
Or I might just get them something for Christmas or whatever it may be, and then. But there's times where like, can we get this game for sure? But I have to I go through and I look at it and like, okay, that's probably fine. That's all right. But you can't truly know everything with the game. And that goes to it's similar with movies and books as well. So it's not strictly video game content. You have to pay attention for that in movies. We use a website called Common Sense Media for movies specifically. And it's basically parents breaking down how the movie is. There's ratings and stuff. And what
was that one more time?
Common Sense Media.
Okay.
It's an awesome website.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, there's a ton of different things on there. They'll be like, does it show positive role models? Is there any bad language? Is there any type of scenes that they shouldn't be seeing or things like that? And there's tons of movies on there and I love it.
And that sorry, not to interrupt, but that's not just animated, right? That's like other movies too. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
That's like
cool. All movies.
Yeah, it shows all movies. So nice. A good example of that was the Super Mario's movie.
Sure.
That came out a couple years ago. We looked at it and it was like, you guys probably shouldn't watch this. There's some things that we don't necessarily like based off of this.
Sure.
Then we looked up I don't know, Toy Story 4 or something like that. And it was like, we look at all the things. Okay, cool. This is fine. You can watch this. So, that's really good for that. Video games is a lot more of me personally though. Sure. I have to do the effort to look and it's hard because you can't look at every aspect of a game because without playing the full game yourself. And
games have changed, dude. It's not like with the games that we played when you just pop a disc in and it's limited to that disc. They still had live aspects of it, but nowadays they're so open.
Yeah.
That there truly is no way to ensure that they're not going to come across something that, and it's very sandbox oriented where you can truly have control over a lot. And that's what's scary to me is we've heard about it in the news and stuff like that from all these, there's one game in specific that has been kind of a little bit more pronounced, at least as of recently, to allowing, and I guess it basically just comes down to a pipeline of communication eventually.
So
what I'm saying?
I'll name drop a game that we won't allow because of Not just because of the news. I won't say it's just because of the news, but it has been huge in the news. Roblox.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to.
Okay, yeah. That is terrible. It's really like that.
And it's kind of just, in my understanding, please correct me, a pipeline to communication to some people that you might not want.
Exactly. Because these people, these super weird people, know that it's very much so a kid game. It's very tailored to little kids. Like,
how could you have an online game for children?
That's part of the oddness to me as well. When it's
that should be 16 plus or something.
It should be.
What I mean,
yeah,
like,
I completely agree. You shouldn't. Yeah, any online game, it shouldn't matter what it is.
My 13-year-old self shouldn't have been online.
No, absolutely not. We're playing RuneScape every single day, and we're seeing and saying things we shouldn't have been.
Well, what's interesting about that though is typing, right?
Yeah,
and it takes and it kind of comes more down to being exposed, not necessarily saying partaking per se, but being exposed to, because that's ultimately what it comes down to. You don't know what you don't know. And the moment that you come across it, that's what you know.
Yeah.
You have no other background.
Like we said, our parents didn't know.
Right.
Our parents didn't know that it was like that. But us being 13 years old on RuneScape, seeing those things, we discovered really quick what it was actually like. So now we know that online games aren't great for younger kids.
For sure.
I don't see a reason to be allowing, like you said, under 16. I think 16 is probably a good example. Under 16, I don't see a reason to be letting these kids play online.
No. And
I can, to a degree, my son has a couple friends he likes to play online with, but like, do you have to?
Sure.
You can just talk to these people. Like, you don't have to be interacting with them online. Like,
dude, I think there was a time as of recently, maybe something, and I say recently, the past couple of years, but I think I called you and we were playing a game. Maybe because I had an issue with like a headset or something.
It was Diablo.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. It was Diablo 3 that we were playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Why did I have to do that?
Yeah.
But that's a way to kind of maybe allow.
Well, yeah, but they don't have to be doing the same thing necessarily. They can be like playing. Even Minecraft's a good example, because Minecraft can be an online game, but you don't have to play it online.
Sure.
Roblox, you have to be online to be playing
it's exclusive. I did not know that.
Yeah, everything with it is online, and you're going into other people's servers that they created or whatever. And there's like specific servers for certain things, and like some of them get really weird.
Wow. Yeah, I had a misunderstanding of that.
Yeah, if you ever want to do a little deep dive on Roblox,
kind of don't.
Yeah.
I think I've already known enough.
Yeah, no, that's kind of how I feel about things in general. Is some things aren't worth deep diving.
And you know what? Let's be. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Maybe their intentions weren't necessarily bad, but now we know that kind of structure for a child's game doesn't work.
Yeah,
doesn't work.
Yeah, because there's gonna be people that prey off of little children that will find a way in there. And I even think back to like when we were younger on like chat rooms and stuff like that.
AIM. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. There was AIM. There was.
But what's interesting about that is there's a little bit of a dissociation in the idea that, again, though, you're typing and it's coming across on like a screen versus like a kind of look at it as like a bathroom stall that moves. You know what I mean? But it was easier to differentiate that versus when you see it in a game that's like the interface is different.
Yeah. But
still.
What I was thinking of was like there was chat rooms that were ASL, age, sex, location.
Yeah.
And you would be talking to strangers from all over the world that you don't know.
Yeah.
Just based off of your age, your gender, and
location.
Your location. And why was I 15 years old on these websites telling people I'm a 15-year-old male in Ohio? Like,
yeah, that's a very good point.
As a kid, you can't, especially younger kids, they don't think that these people are evil. They don't know of true evil yet, really. For the most part.
Nor should they.
Yeah, they shouldn't. They shouldn't know about that. They should be innocent, and they should think that everyone's good and wanting for the better of them. They should think that to a degree. They have to be safe and careful, but like I don't want my kids to think of the evil in the world.
No, and you know, it's interesting too because we kind of talked about it a little bit in the last podcast. You can hear something and you know it, right? For instance, obviously, you know, anything to a child is abhorrent. Like you just, and so, but you take their innocence from them, right? But when you have a child and you see the true, like your everyday, you see that just the world is new.
Yeah.
It's I don't know what a word I'm trying to find here, but it is just unfathomable to think that there's people out there that prey upon that.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, again, you know, before you have a child.
Yeah.
But when you have a child, it's like, it's just,
it hits different.
It does.
Because then you're thinking of like, but it could be my child.
Right.
And that's like the most unimaginable thing. If anything were to happen to him, like,
that's a place that you just don't want to go to.
No, you don't think about that. You don't sit there and like dwell on that. But
no, but you have to be prepared.
Yeah. And you have to protect your kids from those sources as much as possible, which is online games is a huge thing. The internet is a huge thing.
And what's so crazy too is you can never be too careful. And not to say that we're context of video games, but just as of recently, I saw this video of there's this woman, she was walking out of the store with her 1-year-old and holding hands, right? And this guy coming into the store, right, tries to grab the 1-year-old from her. And, you know, thank God the girl wasn't kidnapped or anything like that, but she ended up like breaking her femur in the whole process. And it's like,
you gotta be fully aware everywhere you are.
Yeah.
I always make sure I'm always paying attention. I don't make it extremely apparent to like my kids and stuff like that, but I know my surroundings. I'm looking at my surroundings just to make sure, because I feel I should be the one that is paranoid for my kids.
Right.
My kids don't need to feel that. They don't need to feel the anxiousness of something could happen. I take that for them and I pay attention to my surroundings. I'm like, okay, we're good for right now. Nobody's near us, but like I'm always paying attention so something like that doesn't happen. And she would have seen him clearly. They're walking in the store face to face or whatever. But she was more ready for it than if like the dude ran up from behind though. And she didn't expect it. So
yeah,
you have a split second to react.
For sure. It's interesting you bring up the it's kind of your cross to bear to be the paranoid, the anxious, the one that has to be on the swivel, because I can't remember who it was, but there was a podcast I was listening to, and they were actually talking to an ex, like I think he was an ex-sex offender, but in any sense, he preyed on children. And they said, "What would you look for? Like, how
Let's
would
not
you
say ex with that? He just is."
Thank you. What I say, I think he was in prison still. This is like a prison interview, so X is in the idea that he's not going to be out. I think it was in that context. Regardless, this child abuser, this predator, he said that he would look for the father. He would judge his victim based on the father. How aware, how attentive, how involved the father is. The less involved, the less aware, the less attentive, the easier
100%
for him to prey. And I was just thinking like, oh my gosh, it just further enhances the idea that you can literally never be off guard. You have to always be locked in, tuned in, and just aware, I guess is the biggest thing. You can't let your awareness drop.
Yeah, no. I took a CCW class, and my instructor he pounded that into our heads extremely hard. Like, be aware of your surroundings all the time. Make sure you're always paying attention, know who's around, try to like get faces in the store so you know who's in the store, like do what you can. And he also said he sits so he can see the door.
Interesting.
Anywhere he goes. And I kind of developed that a little bit. I don't obsess over it. I don't sit there and like, I always have to see everyone, always looking at the door.
There's certain scenarios. You go into Texas Roadhouse and they're busy and you can't see the door. It's kind of like, well, I don't want to wait another 20 minutes.
Yeah. No, I need that specific seat right there. Yeah. But yeah, it's little things like that that go a long way to help protect your kids and keeping them off of online games is one of the little things that you can do to protect your kids, because you never know what your kid might say or try to talk about on there. And you can say you can disable whatever setting or whatever. Sure. Any kid can go in and enable anything. These kids these days are so smart. They know all of the technology and everything. They can do anything we can do with it. So,
and I'm glad you said that, because that's kind of where it kind of started the question with, is if you do what precautions you can take. But you're absolutely right. There's literally no settings, parental settings, anything like that, security, that they can't necessarily get around it. And I have a 15-month-old, and he already grabs the remote control, knows which setting button it is, turning the captions on, turning it off, having the lady come on the screen for the ASL thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was
he can probably almost find the channels he wants and everything now, or I mean, even stumble across channels he shouldn't be seeing.
So what's interesting is what we started to do is, one, we started taking the batteries out, but that wasn't a very good idea, because then he learned you could take the batteries out, and then, well, we don't want him putting that in his mouth.
Yeah, right.
So on the back of the remote, you can actually program it based upon the manufacturer, right?
Right.
So then we just click the wrong one. So then when he goes and presses the buttons, it doesn't work.
Sitting there getting frustrated.
Right. Batteries are all in, everything like that. Taped, of course.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the one morning he came in with the remote, and it had one battery in it, and I was thinking like, I remember taking that out. And then all of a sudden I see, and I was like, oh no. So I grabbed the nose, of course, and then he spits it out, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's how we're starting this morning, huh?
Yeah. Scary.
Very, very, very scary. But that's a kind of a good scenario in the idea that, like, you can't freak out.
No.
If I would have freaked out, it would have scared him. Maybe he would have
just swallowed the battery.
Yeah. Right. Gotta look at him, just like pinch the nose, because obviously he has to open his mouth, and then, it comes out.
And that comes back to the calmness of being a father, and don't let them see your anxiousness.
Sure.
Because right in that moment, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. I was like, are you kidding me? Your mother's going to kill me.
Yeah.
Okay. And you know what I was kind of thinking about too in terms of video games is because, like, I think we kind of touched on this. Did we talk about last podcast about like video games and like what we grew up with versus what's out there now?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's really big in terms of kind of my approach as of recently. I've kind of started to.
I feel like we dove into that a little bit more here too, because we kind of talked about playing RuneScape and Diablo
and one thing I wanted to kind of build a little bit from is you did say that you can't necessarily make them like what you like, but one thing I have been doing is I've been laying the breadcrumbs for Pokemon.
Yeah. See, that's an easy one for kids to get into, though.
Sure.
That's a great one for kids to get into.
But I'm also trying not to be too forceful, because I feel like that can have a very big pushback, just because, like, Dad, chill out.
Yeah. Yeah, my kids got into Pokemon a little bit. The new games aren't as good as the old ones were, though. Like,
I agree.
Playing Red and Blue and Yellow and all those, and Heart Gold, Silver, whatever.
Did you hear they're bringing those out? Leaf Green and Red, Fire Red for Switch.
Yep, I did see that. That's cool. But yeah, Pokemon games aren't the same now. But yeah, my kids they all had Pokemon cards. They all had games and everything.
Yeah.
They try to play the actual card game, and like, nobody knows how to play it.
Dude, we play it. We play it.
Yeah, we talk a second about how when we were young, we played Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was always a mess, but...
Well, it just kind of... What I think was interesting about that is we found ways to adapt, because we loved the game. We loved the cards, right? The arts and stuff, so on and so forth. Nobody wants to read a paragraph, 2 paragraphs when you're trying to play a card game.
Yeah,
right?
no.
So we just kind of like boiled it down. We're like, well, the first line doesn't say anything about like drawing or anything like that. So we're just going to go with the attack.
Yeah.
But the Pokemon trading card game, we actually really have started to play that. And I can't wait to get my son involved.
Yeah. Well, a handful of years ago, you were real big into it.
Still.
Yeah, you had your channel and everything for it.
Yeah, we haven't made any content for that, but yeah, still collecting in terms of building almost like a store for him.
Yeah, he's gonna go downstairs one day and see all this and be like, I can grab any card I want.
Well, and it was so interesting. I was talking to my wife about it, and I was like, how do we implement this? Because if I was in his shoes and I walked downstairs and I just saw all these, like, how do you control that, right?
Yeah.
So we were kind of like, you have to almost like, one, he's not really going to know about the vast library of it, right?
Yeah.
He's going to kind of get like little here, maybe not necessarily just birthday per se, but like, hey, you did something cool. Here's a pack or whatever. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Using it as a way to, I don't want to use incentivize, but a reward, I suppose, versus just,
Honestly, I think I started my kids with the show.
oh, he's already watching.
Yeah. I feel like that was the best way to get them started into it, especially the first season.
Yeah.
Because the first season was clean and it was good. Like, it was just a really solid introductory to it, because now the show has gone so far that there's so
like
much
true
happening.
anime almost to a degree.
Yeah. And
It takes away from, in my opinion, the innocence of it to a degree.
yeah, it does. 100%.
But so far, we're just on the first two regions,
Yeah.
Indigo and Johto.
Yeah.
We're just kind of keeping it there for now. But we are collecting. I'm buying the DVDs because
Yeah.
I'm kind of putting those together just because it's so nice. That's something maybe I don't know if we've talked about yet, but we've started using the DVD Blu-ray player a lot
Yeah.
because one, choice selection, right? For him,
Yeah.
it's so easy. We'll literally put like either 2 or 3 up. Which one?
Mm-hmm.
And he points. Cool, sweet, pop it in.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about.
It's an issue when you go to Netflix and pick something you want to watch. You can sit and scroll
Forever.
for hours. You're almost just watching the selection screen anymore.
I literally told my wife last night, we were watching a TV show. She's like, I don't know if I'm really getting into this. And I'm like, well, I am. And the fact that we're going to go back out of this and spend another 15 minutes, 20 minutes looking for something, then we're both probably not going to get into that because then it's coming close to bedtime. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
either we just kind of stick this out and then make the decision, hey, next time we're not going to watch this.
See, that goes back to kind of what we said earlier, is how vast the internet is and how much stuff is just readily available at your fingertips. That goes with streaming services too.
Yeah.
How much stuff. I feel like the internet in this age is almost a breeding ground for ADHD.
That's so true.
It's a super bold statement, but so my son, he does have ADHD, and you almost wonder how much the way kids are raised affects them with that, with like
Sure.
having too much selection choices. You can't focus on something because like you can't care about this
Right.
with how much there is. Like, I don't know.
No, you're absolutely right. And I've even seen that in my son's sense. And again, I think it's just a microcosm because, yeah, you're right. The internet is so vast, but we've gone on like a specific thing of like a toy rotation and only keeping like 4 to 6 toys out.
Yeah.
Easier said than done. But I kind of looked at my wife and I was like, I'm overstimulated with all these toys. So I can only imagine how he feels.
Yeah.
And it kind of like, ooh, this, ooh, that. You just don't have the ability to really dive in.
Yeah, kids can absolutely have access to way too much.
Mm-hmm.
And that's with video games. Like now there's hundreds of thousands of video games. There's insane amount of TV shows. My kids luckily have kind of like boiled it down to what they like and what their interests are. But like, man, sometimes it's like, can you guys just pick a movie?
Yeah.
And I know it's hard,
imagine
but
it's tough.
because we have streaming services, we don't have physical copies of things like that, which sometimes sucks. I wish we did have the physical copies so we could do, like you said, just 2 or 3 things, pick which one,
Mm-hmm.
give them less choices. And we kind of do that even with streaming services. We'll be like, all right, do you want to watch this movie or this movie? Raise a hands. Like,
Well, and you're right, and you can do that, but it's also tough because I'm sure as they're looking at those 2 choices, they're like, oh, but I like that one,
yeah.
and then the other one's like, I like that. You know what I mean? You can't. But there's the choice option, but you can change things on streaming services. Not you as the individual, but like the streaming service or the production, right? They can either remove, add, whatever, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
But if you have that DVD, you have that DVD.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's another thing that's terrible about the streaming services is you have to have like 5 or 6 to be able to watch everything.
So then you're deciding between streaming services, which then takes you into the next decision on which one of those.
Yeah, am I going to be on Netflix or Disney or Amazon or Hulu or Tubi or whatever it may be?
Never ends.
It just keeps going, and they keep adding more. And now it's like there's something for literally everything.
And I think there's something going on too, because like, for instance, my son loves Franklin the turtle, right? It's on some services, and the next thing you know, it's not. And it's on another one. And it's like,
yeah, bouncing all around. Yeah. And
dude, that DVD is impossible to find. Impossible.
I think I have a couple Franklin books actually.
Do you?
Yeah, I should get those to you.
Dude, he loves them. He loves them.
But yeah, there's just so many streaming services. So now it's an argument over the streaming service, and then it's an argument about the movie on the streaming service, and it goes on. And like you said, then they're pulling movies off or adding movies so often, TV shows. It's so much, and it's like I said before, it's building an ADHD brain because it's constantly changing. Something's always moving. You can't keep a focus on one thing, because once you do, that thing is gone. Netflix has removed it, and now it's on something we've never heard of, or now you have to pay for it somewhere, and that's just to rent it. You don't truly own it.
Right. And that kind of ties into what we were talking about a little bit last podcast that was so important, is attention. And they're literally training your attention to be short attention span.
Yeah.
And if you lose awareness of that and you allow that to continue, you're going to miss out on a lot.
Yeah, I've even noticed it in myself though, to a degree.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's where you initially notice it versus another people.
And I've seen a lot of things lately. It's funny how people say it. They say they're raw dogging something to like rebuild their attention span.
Hey,
it's a funny way of saying it.
I saw one where it said somebody with ADHD and one without, and they did like 5 minutes or something, and the one with ADHD was like literally crawling up the wall, like they could not stop.
Yeah, and I kind of want to do that though, where I just like I more want to do meditation.
That's big.
Yeah, I want to start meditating so I can like work on my attention span, because I've noticed I'll sit there and scroll without even like having my phone in my hand. It's like, what am I doing?
I can't say I've ever done that. That's interesting.
I was like, this is bad.
Your thumb just doing a thumb workout is what you're doing there.
It shouldn't be like this.
No, the phantom vibrating. You ever get that? Like you don't even have your phone on you, and it's like,
it's so bad.
That's weird.
I'm also a person that gets mad if my phone actually does vibrate. Who would be calling me at this hour?
Yeah.
It's like 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
I felt bad. My buddy, I got off of work, whatever. I was putting my son to sleep, and he started calling me and texting me. And I kind of like, I'm rocking my son to sleep. So I had to like do one of those like no look like kind of texts. It was very sharp. I said, "Don't call me. I'll call you."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Dude, I didn't mean to." And I'm like, "If it's 8:30, don't call."
Yeah.
I'll call you.
Just it's not talk time.
Yeah, I'm just hearing my phone vibrate. I'm thinking like, dude, please.
Yeah. Actually, something that I want to talk about, since we're talking about phones right now.
Yeah.
How aware are you of having your phone on you? Like, not just what you're watching on your phone, specifically while your son's around. Have you noticed a change in how aware you have to be?
Yeah. My wife and I were relatively pretty conscious of that from the beginning. We were not perfect, obviously, but I really tried not to even have my phone in my pocket. I'll put it away. And partly because if he sees it, he'll want to grab it. Not that he really does anything with it. He
wants to play, or he'll scroll on it even. It's
kind of more so he just kind of wants to give it back. He's used to FaceTime. Right?
Okay.
So we'll do a FaceTime. So he kind of wants to either see me, or he wants to see, grandpa or something like that. So his awareness of what we use it for is limited. He doesn't necessarily see us scroll. To answer your question directly, we're very conscious of what we're doing with our phone in front. There's obviously times where we have to text or whatever, and there's times that I catch myself, right? I was texting something to pull something up. Oh shoot, sorry, buddy, put it away.
Yeah.
But I also start to think too, though, that's just kind of programmed in me.
Right.
It's not even like a conscious thought, and then that's when I start to think, wow.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you just be sitting there sending a text, and you mean to put your phone away, like you said, and then like you just click Facebook and you just start scrolling. It's like, man, I didn't even want to do this.
Right.
And then you have to like unwire your brain. Like, no, I'm not on Facebook. I put my phone back away and like try to go about my normal day. But yeah, it's such an ingrained thing anymore to just, once you're done with the text or something, you just open it up. But yeah, when my kids were first born, that is something I was, when they were younger,
Sure.
I was super aware of it like all the time. And I still am to a degree, because now they can like really tell.
Right.
And they can really see things. So obviously I don't want them to see what's on my phone, which
Sure.
I'm not looking up crazy things, but still
There's certain things you don't necessarily want them to see.
they're reading, and like they can, whatever image might pop up or something,
We
like
all
a
see those
sponsored
power
ad.
tool mishaps.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't need to be seeing things like that. So
Sure. Or the worst I think are like kickbacks and like things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it's like you have to be aware of it, but also I don't want to see them all.
right, yeah. And that's what I was saying earlier with my wife seeing things that she just doesn't want to see, because
Right.
she's a very sensitive person. She's very much so an empath, where she feels everything for everyone, and like things like that will make her cry.
That's a taxing place to be.
It is.
And I kind of can relate with her in that degree, because it's interesting because sometimes in my line of work, people tell me, they open up to me, and I take that as a compliment because it shows that they trust me. But then I start to realize in certain scenarios that they repeat,
Mm-hmm.
and it's tragic. You know what I mean? And it's like, wait a minute. You don't get to double dip or triple dip into my empathy.
Right,
What are we doing here? Right. Obviously I'm here as an open ear. Right. But then after that, after you kind of, I don't want to say punch that voucher card, but you know what I mean? Like really though, what are your intentions?
Yeah. You can't just let someone sit and take advantage of you. So
yeah. And
it's
so that's
essentially what it is.
difficult to kind of balance there.
Yeah.
Because you also don't want to be rude about it either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, you told me that.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's, yeah.
Yeah. Phones are bad for kids.
Yeah.
It's
what you said about the ADHD aspect of it times, I don't even know what the number would be.
Yeah.
Because it's not even so much the internet where you have to like go click on the icon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then type in, right? You literally just,
you have apps for everything.
boom, that's it. Literally.
And the amount of content that you can access from just a finger click is insane.
Yeah.
You have all of Facebook, and who knows what Facebook's going to pop up that day. You have all of YouTube, all of X. You have everything, and you never know what content's going to pop up. And like sometimes it's almost concerning. Like, I don't know if I want to click on this right now, because what's going to be the first thing? Because for some reason it's never my friend.
For some reason it's not what I'm actually looking for.
Yeah, right.
And at least for now, the only thing I can do, you're obviously in a different situation with the age, but I just literally put my phone up.
Yeah.
And it's
and I feel like that's an extremely good thing to be able to separate.
But I'll say this, there's a lot of where did I put my phone? Because it's like I'm not used to just setting it down everywhere.
I'm bad for that too. It's so good to separate your phone from you though, because then you can be even more attentive, you're more aware, and you're not just sitting there thinking about it in your pocket all the time, because it like you said, it's just natural to pull it out.
Yeah.
For no reason. Like
for sure.
You didn't even intend on using it.
And dude, I'll say this, man. The winter sucks for it.
Yeah.
Because you can't do anything else. I don't mean you can't do anything else. I'm just saying.
But to a degree, because
you're limited within the four walls.
Yeah, you can only, and even then with video games, if you want to play a video game, you probably can't play a video game that he can watch.
Right.
So it's not just on your phone. Phones are a good one because people just sit there and mindlessly scroll while holding their baby. Right. And they don't even think about it because this baby's just absorbing everything that they're seeing, that's just scrolling, and it's building who they are coming into as a toddler. And it's just so easy to fall into that. That's why I kind of asked about that, because how easy it is to fall into that cycle.
Yeah. When he was younger, I still think that we were pretty conscious of no, I will say though, if he was asleep, right, you're holding him, falls asleep, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, probably a bit more guilty there in terms of it. But, for the most part, we're aware because I did answer it kind of more so now with him running around and such. But even still,
in general,
it's kind of a bit more important when you're when they're not, right? When you're holding them, right?
Right.
Because, I mean, from my understanding, 0 to 3 is such a huge, important part of their brain development.
Yeah.
And so if they're exposed to that stuff constantly or whatever it is, they don't necessarily know what it is, but it might be triggering certain, cortisol or certain stresses that they shouldn't be experiencing.
Yeah. And just the flashing of scrolling even can be a lot for a baby's eyes. So
yeah. No, you're 100% right there. And that's something I've started to become aware of having a 15-month-old is the impact of one, colors, but two, how quick those colors come in and come out.
Yeah.
And, the flashes of it. Sometimes, he's again, 15 months old. So sometimes Pokemon to a degree makes me a little nervous.
Yeah.
But it seems to be balanced pretty well.
Yeah. It can be a little much sometimes when Pikachu uses Thunderbolt or whatever.
Sure.
But that's why a lot of times you see kids shows, though, they aren't like the good ones aren't super flashy. They're slow paced. They kind of talk a little bit slower. They're not like rushing through everything. And like, it's not tons of flashing lights. And it's just something to like, usually soothing in a sense. Mm-hmm. There's singing or whatever it may be.
And we've been very aware of that. And it's actually been kind of fun and interesting to kind of go through certain ones because some of them you forget about and then you pull them back up and it's like, wow, not only is that a low stimulating show that he can watch, but like, I remember Oswald. Like, I remember him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even that too, though, certain ones you have to be careful with because what's interesting is, and again, I try to play devil's advocate here and I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt that their intentions are good and pure. But sometimes there's like, there's a character who's like, super empathetic and like kind of gets taken advantage of. And it's also like, well, I don't want my child to think that that's what he has to be.
Yeah.
Right? And again, their intentions are probably not bad. It's just like, I don't know. That's just the whatever kind of thing.
Right.
Just how it came out to be, the story development or whatever. Or maybe. I try not to think it's sinister.
It's so hard to balance screen time in general with kids. And because one, it can be extremely helpful to parents.
Yeah.
And
well, we've noticed too, sorry, not to cut you off there, but the size of the screen, I think makes a huge difference. And I don't know if we've talked about this before. We might have talked about it personally, like outside of the podcast, but think of it like this. If you're sitting in the front row of a movie theater, how long are you really going to be able to be engaged?
Yeah.
Versus if you're in the back row, it's easy.
Yeah, because when you're at the front, you kind of like, you got to turn.
And you lose your attention span, your eyes have to travel.
Yeah.
So like, in a weird way, I convinced my wife. I'm just kidding. We got a good deal on a pretty big TV.
Yeah.
But we've noticed that like he'll watch it and then he'll tune out.
Yeah.
And then he'll watch it, then he'll tune out. Right. Because he kind of like starts to lose the appeal after it's kind of work.
Yeah.
To a degree.
It's hard to focus on something, which with television, I guess, is kind of an okay thing if he's like going off to do something else and play. Instead. But like,
it's like 5 minutes in, 5 minutes out, 5 minutes in, 5 minutes out kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. That screen time I could definitely see how it does matter. Cause like you said, if you're sitting in the front row, you're kind of all over the place. I always pick to sit towards the back because I want to see the whole screen. I don't want to have to. I don't want to chase it all around. I don't know how people sit down at the bottom.
It's easier on your eyes.
Yeah, definitely.
Another thing I thought about too, because one of the big, and again, these are just things because again, we have a 15-month-old. One of the theories behind the screen time is it lack development of speech and such. And I think that has a lot to do with only animated videos. Because in an animated video, you hear the words, but you can't enunciate, right? You don't see the enunciation. And one show that was big when we were growing up is Barney. My child loves Barney because there's children involved. They actually see like kind of people and their mouths move. So one of the big ones now is Miss Rachel. And I think that's something that she does really well. I'll put it this way. Opinions aside, in terms of what I do or don't think about her show in general, you see facial expressions. You see the mouth move. And that's huge because that's what they're looking for. How are they making that noise?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Shows that extremely exaggerate.
Yeah. And it almost has to go along one thing she does well with. And again, opinion aside, is she kind of like sings with it.
Yeah.
And it kind of
Makes it engaging.
registers better,
Yeah.
you know? And it was funny though, we were going to the library. We were going to the library one day and I was just enunciating, library. And he just started doing this. He saw that I was using my tongue and he was like, wait a minute. He didn't say the word, right? but and then I started thinking like, wow, they're just mirrors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they mirror everything. That's part of why I keep my kids away from the internet so much and why I keep them away from specific video games or specific TV shows. Like, they end up becoming what they see most often. And a lot of kids in this day and age more often see screens than they see their parents anymore.
Yeah.
Not the case with my kids, but it's a very common thing. So,
absolutely.
And a lot of times, even kids that see their parents more, they still might kind of like rebel against their parents to a degree and be like something else that they're seeing in the video game or whatever.
Well, and I think what's tough there too is maybe their friends aren't as involved. And so they see that and they kind of like, the grass always looks greener on the other side.
Yeah, I deal with that with one of my son's friends where it's my son's best friend. So like, of course he loves him, but like, it's hard for me to balance it because his friend's parents aren't great.
Gotcha.
They're not super involved and they kind of let him do whatever. He says a lot of real crazy things. And it's like,
sure,
I can't really let you hang out with him, but like, he's your best friend. But like,
yeah, that's a tough balance.
Yeah, it's hard.
Do you ever see yourself in that situation and the idea that like, I maybe to some people weren't necessarily the best person to hang out with, vice versa, growing up? Not that I was into bad things or anything like that. I just mean like, sometimes I think about maybe if some parents thought of me as maybe the negative influence. Do you ever think about that or no?
If I was?
Potentially, yeah. Have you ever put yourself in that shoes?
No. I've never thought about that. I was a relatively good kid growing up. Not to say I didn't have my flaws, but I guess most of the people I was hanging out with were worse than me.
So maybe that's kind of where I was thinking of getting to. Is it a lot of it comes down to a comparison aspect. In my childhood, a lot of the other parents were, together, right? That kind of thing. And, my parents weren't growing up. And so I always kind of like thought that inherently kind of put me down.
Yeah.
Right. And so then, and maybe kind of like things like that, right? Comparison. And it's funny you brought that up because you were maybe the shining light of your friend group where I was kind of like, hey, we shouldn't do that.
Yeah. A lot of my friends were in a similar position to me as well. It depends on what age range we were. Because like I had a handful of different friend groups while growing up. Like in my teenage years, my mom was concerned for me because of the people I was hanging out with.
Gotcha.
So I was more of like the positive influence in that friend group. Then when I was like, say, younger teen, around the 12 age range, that friend group, we were all kind of in a similar situation. Like parents mostly separated for the most part. We're all into the same things. We're not like getting in any trouble. We weren't bad kids. And then when we're like real young, I mean, it was you and me. So
right. And I guess a path there would be, do you see your son as the shining light in that friendship?
Yeah. And I think that can be an extremely positive thing for
but it's probably
him.
Difficult as a dad.
But it's difficult for me because I don't necessarily want him influencing my son.
Right.
So I have to, I don't know, you play both ends of it, I guess.
You hope the one out equals the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's difficult.
Friends are extremely difficult to navigate with your kids.
How about parents? Do you intermingle with other parents?
I can't stand other parents.
Honest.
Yeah. No, that's to a degree, of course. Like, I can get along with there's some people that are on similar pages, but a lot of times no. And we kind of talked about it last time, how like, that's one of the hard things about trying to make friends is their parenting comes extremely large into play with that.
Yeah. and
So
taking a step back from that. And, you know, if you don't have that, I don't know, it's kind of tough because if you don't have that foundation already built, it's hard to build that foundation within a friendship if you've kind of just see their misparenting.
yeah,
It's hard to overlook that versus if you already have that friendship, it's kind of like, hey, what worked for me, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You never want to say, hey, do this because nobody likes that.
yeah. And then are they the type that's willing to take advice even? So
And-
there's also that.
Even listen, right? You don't have to
Right.
take my advice, but at least hear me.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't. And
Sure.
they just kind of like go on about their day. So I don't know. Navigating friendships in your 30s is so weird.
Yeah, and I guess you're right. And we did talk about that quite a bit. But I kind of, again, a lot of that was kind of directed towards just other people's parents and how difficult that is to navigate because obviously I'm not there yet, right?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm in any like, hey, do you want them to get together for a play date?
Right. Yeah. So a good example is like my one daughter does dance
Mhm.
and there's like a lobby that the parents can sit in. So they have like a TV up in the corner so you can watch their dance or whatever while they're in there practicing.
I see.
And the way that these dance moms talk is just like, I can't stand to hear this. This is, you guys are treating your kids like they're expendable. And like, all you're talking about is, and half of them are pulling in with McDonald's every single time, or like it.
It's on the go.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting you bring that up because you probably have a very good perspective. Sorry. Was there?
There's one other point.
Yeah.
They also, the way that they speak of their marriages is like, wow, you really can't stand your husband. It's not just the women, but
Sure.
dance moms are
kind of brutal, I can imagine.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird because I feel like they're extra comfortable there.
Yeah. It's because there's 10 other dance moms that are all in somewhat similar situations. We're all shelling out a bunch of money for the kid to go to dance. And
well, and it's interesting. I used to work in hotels and youth sports has gotten insane.
It has.
It's become a paid professional production.
Yep.
It's not professional sports, but the production is professional.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are we paying for? And
Right.
what are they? Why?
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
they're kids.
yeah. Like I'm not saying it needs to be a run down field or nothing like that, but dude, AstroTurf with like,
Yeah.
dude, it's like this isn't professionals.
No.
right?
Yeah. And,
Clean grass, clean, you know what I'm saying, or whatever it is. But it's like, holy moly!
and only like, I think it's not even like 0.1% of kids will ever go on to be a professional athlete. I think it might even be less than that. It's like tiny amount.
You have that, but also to me, I think of like this, that takes the fun away from a lot of it.
It does.
And it becomes now mom and dad look at it as in like it's a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 expense.
It goes even beyond that though. Like, so I stumbled across this video the other day of this fitness influencer. He went to, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called OTE,
No,
Overtime Elite.
no, I haven't.
It's a high school, but their whole goal as a high school is building your social media. In training, it's all basketball.
Really?
So it's like they're training you to become professional athletes essentially from a high school level. And that's just crazy. Like this one kid, he had like 3 million followers on Instagram already. He's 17 or something like that. And they're building them into a business essentially is what they're doing.
That's nuts.
And they go around to all the high schools in the country. Not even just the country. The one kid was from France. So all of the best in the world, and they're going around and handpicking these kids. It's not like an application type thing.
Oh, wow.
They're handpicking these children that are just like incredible athletes, and they're playing similar level kids.
Jeez.
It's crazy that high school sports have gotten to that level. And on one hand, it is awesome for these kids because if they have this chance to be great.
Sure.
But on the same hand, like you said, it takes the fun away.
Well, and again, what's intention there, right? Because I guarantee you this, the school's they're not making money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
they're getting paid. Somebody's getting paid there. You're not doing this for free. You're not volunteering your time.
Yeah, well, a lot of that was based off of sponsorships. So like
I see.
Gatorade sponsors them.
Okay.
Their school, and they have tons of them. I think maybe Adidas or something.
Well, that's interesting too, because there's probably obviously some influence and pull there.
Right. Yeah, and from a high school level though, you're being sponsored by these big time companies.
It kind of steals the innocence and like the pureness and like the fantasy of it, because like, I don't know, how can you, I mean, I guess there's a level, you still get exposed to it. I guess what I'm thinking in my head right now is like, you can't dream to be in the big leagues if you feel like you're already in the big leagues. Right. It kind of like checks that box for you already.
Yeah, you kind of already topped out to an extent.
But I also think too, the next thought in my head was like, oh, well, maybe that gives you a taste. Right. But then I'm thinking like, no, you could just go to a professional game or whatever. If that's what they love, that's the taste. If that's what your real dream is. Right.
They're also giving these kids an avenue for failure at the same time too, because say one of these kids doesn't make it.
Sure.
Then what? Then they go through potentially this whole mental spiral because they already lived like a professional style life with athletics, and then they don't make it. But they have the money, I guess, to kind of go down any path based off of their influence that they pull. But it's almost scary because what happened to their mental health,
right? And
what can they do to themselves with all this money? Because people with money tend to destroy themselves way worse.
Well, one interesting thing about money is like it's a magnifying glass on your habits.
Yeah. 100%.
If you have bad habits, you're not going to do well with money.
No.
But you know, hopefully they learn how to deal with money, but that's, at least from my experience, I had to learn it on my own. Right.
Right. Same.
And if they are being taught that, sweet. Right. But I guess that's the big question. And then, you know, you were talking about too, their mental state. The bigger you are, the harder you fall, right?
Right.
The higher pedestal that you think you're on, and then all of a sudden you're not. I mean,
and that's one of the scary parts.
Life's tough in general, let alone something like that. Then you think you almost have to deal with an identity crisis earlier on that was manufactured. It wasn't even of your own decision or liking.
Yeah, they never truly created themselves. They weren't fully developed. They didn't truly become adults and develop their adult life. They had someone develop it for them. They had someone tell them who they are, essentially. They had someone create their online profile. Mm-hmm. And it's not small scale. It's huge. Like this one kid, he had like $300,000 or $400,000 in like chains and stuff like that. Like,
jeez.
And so the scale of it is just insane.
And as you were saying that too, the false identity that they come across as they're growing up, when they truly do decide to find who they are, they have nothing to refer back to besides for this masquerade that they were given.
Yeah.
And that's got to be so daunting.
And these kids, they don't live with their parents.
Really?
There's that as well. They get put up somewhere there. I don't know if there's like apartments in the place or something. I don't remember, but
already don't like it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's that. And I don't know. It's crazy. They don't have, obviously they have like their coaches and their teachers and stuff like that, but it's not the same as having an actual parent there.
Yeah. And then that creates a whole bigger thing too, is sports aside, what are they teaching? What are they doing? Right? Who are they surrounding themselves with?
So,
but you know what I'm saying? That's very open-ended in terms of they're out of your influence now.
Yeah.
That to me is probably one of the scariest things, is like,
and they have the access to the money to go do anything that they want. So when they get out of class or whatever, like,
how do you tell them no?
Yeah. They can go, I mean, obviously they're too young to go to bars, but I mean, they can find a way. Well, they can find a way. They can go buy anything that they want. They They can do anything.
And that's what's so interesting too, when money starts to get involved. And, we're kind of on the topic of sports right now, but to scale it up slightly with college sports, the whole big thing now, they're getting paid and stuff like that. Well, how do you tell somebody who's making 2, 3, 4, some of them are making insane amounts of money, millions of dollars, to not do something? They're going to be like, what are you talking about?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I'll do anything I want.
That discipline and the level of coaching, I mean, I guess it just exasperates the skill, right?
Yeah.
Those that are good at coaching can figure that out. But I mean, it just makes it so hard to navigate.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things with that school is when you walk through the doors, there's a sign that says like you're basically signing away any privacy.
Oh.
So that's something I should have mentioned earlier. But
so it's like a live reality TV.
Like Big Brother almost.
Oh my.
Once you go through those doors, you are liable to be recorded for everything, photographs at any given time, pretty much. Like, obviously they're not like any given second, but
hopefully they get to use the restroom.
Right. Yeah, you would think. But it's such a professional level. It's like kids don't need that.
It's confusing.
Yeah, it is.
And I kind of look at it as in like childhood stars too, right? Sometimes they grow
it's
up
so bad.
And you feel empathy for them because they never really had a chance.
I have a really good example of that maybe a lot of other people don't feel this way, but Justin Bieber.
Interesting, yeah.
He never had a chance.
No.
He was told from 13 years old that this is who you are. They have him singing songs at 13 about being in relationships and all this other stuff. He did a song with Ludacris when he was 13. Like,
dude,
that's absolutely absurd.
Insane.
These kids were never given a chance. And that is when the internet was like first starting to blow up. Sure. And he just got thrown out onto everything. And sure, he had opportunity that some people may have never had, but at what cost?
Exactly.
We see where it's gotten him now, 20 years later or whatever it's been. I don't want to say he's off his rocker, but...
Well, any sane person would be insane in that situation.
Yeah, of course he has issues, and people don't give him any leniency in it. And people treat him like he's this terrible person, but the things he went through, we can't even grasp.
Sure.
And we shouldn't. And I don't know.
No, and you're absolutely right. And it kind of goes, again, at what cost?
Yeah.
At what cost is really the big question there.
It also comes back to the internet too, because the internet destroys him on a daily basis. Like the things people say about him, every move he makes is completely public to everybody. And when you have this following, you have to walk on eggshells essentially and be so careful.
Well, not only that too, you're right, but the ego death you got to go through.
Yeah.
Because, everybody's got to go through this thing where it's not about them anymore, right?
Yeah.
But when everything's been made about you your entire life.
Yep.
That's a hard egg to crack.
That's so good. Yeah.
It really is,
Sorry, that one caught me off guard. So good.
It is interesting, and that's one aspect of it too, but it's a microcosm of what goes on in the household too, right? Obviously they're not on the stage, they're not on TV, but if you make everything about them, the world about them, that's what they come to expect.
Yeah.
And that's where a potential level of entitlement can come from.
Yeah.
And that's where I've kind of started to try to be more conscious and aware of leading of an idea that, yes, I want to be present and be with my son as much as possible, but also realizing he wants to do what I want to do, relatively speaking. And so making sure I lead that to where it's not just him playing the puppeteer.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to have some control over what your kids are doing.
Yeah. Well,
So that
try
way,
at least. And what I mean is that it is like you can do that on the internet if you don't give it to them, right? Kind of tying back to that. But like, for
Yeah.
instance, as much as I tried, there's nothing I can do to stop him from taking that toy and throwing it against the couch or throwing it against the, you say no, but that's,
it happens.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's one of those things that you control what you can. You can lead them as much as you want to, but they have to be their own person.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't just be like, you have to operate this way. So,
yeah. And as men, as in general, that's kind of tough because we have a hard time doing that in our own personal sense.
yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah, man. I mean, is there anything? So a lot of this technology, AI, how to navigate that, not only as a parent, but putting ourselves in our children's shoes and seeing how that plays a factor into, and also what we were brought up. Anything we missed in terms of that?
Nothing we can't double back to. at some
That's for
point.
sure. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, man, dude, this has been a great talk.
Yeah, it's been real good.
So, we'll definitely catch back on this and touch back. We'll have some really good information coming into the next one. Thanks for watching the Just Two Dads podcast. You can find us on YouTube. You can find clips on YouTube, on X. We're on Facebook. You can find us at Just Two Dads Pod.